you've been across the pond. You went, I assume, last Thursday, travel Thursday. So
Mm-hmm.
you've been there
Mm-hmm.
almost a week, got a few more days. What's the experience been
Yeah.
like so far?
Well, this is my fourth time to London. So we were here in 2013. Everson Griffin toppled Big Ben to win the game. Then we were at Twickenham. We beat Negan. Then we stayed here at the Hanbury Manor in 2022. Double doink, beat the Saints, and then last year took down A. Raj and the Jets. I'd never been to Dublin. Dublin is fantastic. I mean, what an absolutely lively town. Now, granted, there were probably, I don't know, 30 to 40,000 people who flew in for the game. Football fans, Vikings and Steelers fans, so the streets were lively. But Dublin's terrific, and the setup there. As you see all the terrible towels and everything, the Vox box slash broadcasting setup was up on that third level you can see there, and it was kind of makeshift in the stands. So I was right next to a bunch of Steelers fans, and into the game. That could go one of two ways. Their team outplayed the Vikings the majority of the game, so I'm glad they didn't get braggadocious and didn't get too loud and stuff like that. And it's a very small sample size, Michael, but I've encountered some rowdy Bears fans, Eagles fans, some Commanders fans, where the fans are just right up next to the Vox box. The Steelers fans were about as kind and about as understanding as a fan base as I've met. So they were super cool.
You mentioned 30 to 40,000 flew in for the game. And I keep hearing numbers like that for the international games. And it cuts against this idea that the NFL is catching on like wildfire in these other countries. Because in theory, the people from the US would be boxed out. Now, maybe they're just getting on Ticketmaster or wherever and squatting on
Hmm.
the seats or buying them on the resale market. But I think the NFL would like to be at a point where all those people who are in those stadiums, or at least the vast majority of them, are locals, not people who are coming from the United States for a vacation.
Well, that will be the case Sunday at Tottenham Hotspur. Where I mean, the Vikings are 2-2. Negan's team is 1-3. And both teams go into a bye. So I don't really know how many, specifically from a Viking standpoint. If you had two options here, well, the Dublin game was the first of its kind. So I can understand a lot of people flying in for that. But when the press conferences today will take place probably starting around like 4 o'clock London time. This area where the media will be, it's going to be packed, and the majority of the reporters are going to be from England, Ireland, Scotland, Germany, stuff like that. So with the England games, the majority of the fans there are from the UK. First one in Germany recently. They're growing it there. Rio de Janeiro and Australia on the horizon. So they're going to try to grow it there. Same with Dublin, where when you go there for the first time, it legitimately is a first time experience that fans from the States are going to want to take part in.
What's the deal with the play clock on what's the deal? Sound like Jerry
That
Seinfeld.
was
What
that was unbelievable.
is the deal? I didn't know about this until I was on the score yesterday with
Yeah.
Mully and Haw. They asked me about whether or not the Vikings had a legitimate gripe regarding the malfunctioning of the play clock in Ireland. And I was like, oh. So I started to do some research on it, and I realized that the north end of the stadium, both the game clock and the play clock that is in the line of sight of the quarterback of the team moving in that direction, was on the fritz.
The whole
Apparently,
game.
there was a synchronization issue all game
Yes.
long. They found out 3 minutes before kickoff, as Kevin O'Connell told reporters after the game.
Yep.
What what was the overall reaction beyond the stuff that was said publicly, like privately?
Yeah.
How pissed 1 to 10 were the Vikings were about that?
Well, I mean, given they knew about it into the game, you didn't really hear much about it during the course of the game. But the Vikings were heading that way. That's the side where Addison got loose for the 81, and they're heading that way. And you got a quarterback and people looking over their shoulders at the play clock behind them. So that's obviously not conducive. Both teams had to play two quarters that way. The Vikings, obviously, the final and quite a pivotal quarter they were heading that way. So it wasn't preferred, but things like that will pop up in some of these European games where the locker room setup's different. The fields are always slippery. There are just you couldn't see the hash marks. Middle of the field, pretty much from the 45 to the 45, because of the red, white, and blue NFL logo. The virtual measurement, they did the virtual measurement during the Vikings Bengals game, and that sucker took like 4 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, and then it didn't even come up on the screen. Like the ball in the line, the supposedly exciting video game part. Well, it did here, so the virtual measurement worked perfectly, but the play clock situation, I'm not going to say it factored into the Vikings loss because they had a good 56, 57 minutes before that to play better.
Did you know it was going on during the game? Were you aware that
No
the play?
idea. No, because so here we are, all right, and they're going this way. So here's Addison going that way. So it's down there. But naturally, I don't know why. I just went that way and got the play clock right there. So I didn't even notice it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, there was no mention of it that I heard on the broadcast on NFL Network. Even after the delay of game was taken, the confusing, critical fourth and 12 becomes fourth and 17 and virtually unmakeable
Right.
because Carson Wentz didn't get the playoff. So
Right.
it'll be interesting to see if more is said about it. And frankly, they could have controlled it because the Vikings won the toss and they chose to defer their option. If they had chosen to receive to start the game, they would have been able to engineer it so they were going south, not north in the fourth quarter. And we all know we've seen all these close games this year. You want to have the most pristine conditions possible in the fourth quarter where most of these games are being decided. Okay.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.